there now. Why are all the celebrities canceling their tours, canceling their shows for the upcoming months? First, I just thought it was The Weeknd and Justin Bieber. It reminds me of the 1,300 CEOs who left their post prior to the world being locked down, as if they knew something was coming. Do these celebrities know something is coming? While everyone is distracted with the Queen's death, the art of war is to seem powerful when you're weak and weak when you're powerful. This could be all a distraction, and she could have passed away a long time ago. As everyone's looking this way, what's going on in the background? Luke Combs canceling because his voice wasn't up to par, just like The Weeknd. Shawn Mendes canceled all of his tour dates. Carlos Santana cancels. And all these tours are for the upcoming months ahead, where a lot of astrologers are saying some sort of violence could happen, could a debt jubilee happen, an economic collapse, or a reset. Swedish House Mafia cancels their shows. Foo Fighters, Mandy Moore, Weezer's canceling as well, which was supposed to take place September. The Fugees canceling their tour. Wyclef Jean had an assassination attempt on him as well. Do they know something is about to happen? Rage Against the Machine cancels their Europe tour. The Baby cancels his concert, and they're saying it's because of low ticket sales, if that's to be believed. These big artists with low ticket sales. Anthrax cancels their tour. And this is all for September, October, November. Oliver Slim cancels his tour for September. A lot of these bands, I don't know who they are. Dead Can Dance cancels tour for health reasons. Bieber cancels for health reasons. Bajas cancels. Rage Against the Machine canceled. So the Mad Cool Sunset, which was supposed to take place September 10th, which is that big astrology day going into September 11th. And why didn't they just put it on? I mean, you have Run the Jewels playing. They could have headlined. They're bigger than Rage at this point. But no, they canceled it. Limp Bizkit canceled because of health reasons. Alanis Morissette Scraps tour. It's just very similar to the CEOs who left their post right before the lockdown, as if they knew something was coming. Do these celebrities know something is on its way?
All right, Shalom Akim. Call Halayim La, Yahawah Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem Harakahakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of great millstone, of whom I've grown in this truth under. Shalom to the Akim out there that's pushing the truth, that's laboring in the word, and that's pushing the gospel of the great kingdom that's soon to come. Shalom to the Akwath that's listening in, that's remaining true to the faith and remaining faithful and submissive to their husbands and guiding their children. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and blessings to you all. Barak Thumb. All right, I'm going to start this off with Ezekiel. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 33. Let's do this real quick. It says, let's start at verse 32. It says, and lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song, and one that hath a pleasant voice, and can play well on an instrument. For they hear thy words, but they do them not. All right? And when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them. Okay? Times are about to increase. Okay, this is going to be a very serious one, a very serious lesson, man. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to push it all in, you know, as much as I can. You know, like I couldn't sleep for some reason. I couldn't sleep at all when I got home. I couldn't sleep. And I only got maybe a couple hours of sleep, and I couldn't do anything. I don't know why. I couldn't do anything, but, you know, I believe it was the spirit that was keeping me up. You see what I'm saying? spirit that was making sure that that I get this thing through. So I actually listened to this video last night, and I planned on doing a video on it. I planned on doing a lesson on it, and you know, this is a video from Odyssey, from the Odyssey page. Okay, and I will be leaving the link to the description, or the link to this video in the description. You know what I'm saying? After this lesson, Lord willing. All right. But these are important times that we in, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's an hour 39, basically an hour 40 minutes long. I don't have time to go through all of that, but just to cap on a couple things, that was mentioned in this video. Apparently there may be an assassination attempt, all right, on behalf of Ukraine. You know, in collaboration with U.S., NATO. Okay, so it could be a F flag. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let's listen to that. Let's listen to this real quick, because I got a couple timelines that I highlighted. All right.
Yeah. She was found with 17 stab wound folds. Now, also dealing with Ukraine, there's some covert intelligence information that, you know, I was able to obtain from my former colleagues in the intelligence community. And it came out over the weekend, and it deals with the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Covert intelligence communication circuits over the weekend were reporting that the Ukraine special services were reaching out and making contacts with workers at the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And some of the intelligence sources were reporting over the weekend, and I'm going to quote them verbatim. These are their reports, quote, Ukraine is preparing a terrorist attack against the International Atomic Energy Agency when their team arrives at the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, unquote. Now, there were other intelligence sources that were claiming, quote, it's not the Ukrainians planning this false flag attack, it's the U.S. and NATO who have planned it, unquote, because they want to blame Russia for killing the IAEA nuclear inspectors, who, by the way, departed on their trip to this nuclear power plant. They departed today. So,
all right,
we'll talk more about it.
Okay. Yeah, so the IAEA, or the International Atomic Energy Agency, Slovakia, let's close that real quick. The International Atomic Energy Agency has sent out their agents to go and inspect the nuclear power plant over in Ukraine that is under control by Russia. Russia is the country that actually invited the IAEA to come and investigate, because apparently, you know, now the Ukrainians are trying to attack the nuclear power plant over there. Okay, so Zelensky is trying to attack the nuclear power plant over there. Russia is trying to get the IAEA involved to hopefully deter all of that, because that's the whole reason why they seized the nuclear power plant to begin with, because they didn't want any nuclear waste or radiation to affect their army. Okay, as they were going into the Ukraine to invade, they didn't want all that radiation to affect their armies, and they didn't want didn't want the air current to pull any of the radiation from Ukraine over to Russia. You see what I'm saying? So now the Russians are Slovakia. Now the Ukrainians are targeting that nuclear power plant. Okay, so that's one major piece of news that he was speaking about. The next major piece of news that he was mentioning was that Russia, basically the West is pushing the propaganda that Russia is losing the war, that the Ukrainians are winning the war, they're pushing back and all this stuff, when that's not true. That's not true. In fact, Russia hasn't even begun to use a whole fraction of their military might against the Ukrainians. Okay? And so there's video, and I actually saw one on TikTok last night. There was a video where the Russians are pulling in more military armory, military vehicles, weapons into Ukraine. All right. So these jokers have not, they haven't depleted or been depleted of their full military might. Okay. They're not even halfway through it. On the other hand, Britain, okay, the British, they're sending aircraft. All right. They're sending military aircraft over to civilian airports in Ukraine. Okay. And this is the first time they've done something like this since World War II. All right, so that's another major piece of information that's not being reported. Okay. Also, the U.S. and the U.K. and the NATO countries, they have a whole weapon. It's been found out that they have an entire weapons smuggling network that's been funneled into Ukraine. All right, so you got all these billions of dollars that Biden has been sending over to Ukraine and whatnot, right? And they're saying that a good portion of the money goes missing. A good portion of the weapons go missing. Okay? And it's been reported also that many of these weapons that's not being reported are going into the black markets. Okay, so that's another thing that was being spoken of. Like I said, I'm going to leave the address to this video in the description. Right, I'm gonna leave the link into the description. All right. So let's get into the big story that needs to be spoken of. All right. The big story that needs to be spoken of. Let's start at the mark. Let's see. 11. Let's start here.
I'll turn it back with you. So I decided last week that I actually needed concrete, firsthand, no BS intelligence about a lot of different things that are going on. And I had been toyed with for, over a year on some of these inquiries that I made. So I decided last week that I was going to get nasty. And I did. And on Saturday night into Sunday, I engaged in a series of secret meetings with very powerful people.
All right. So before he gets into that, I want to get some scriptures, man, because I ain't got no scriptures yet, except for my opening one. So let's get 2 Ezra chapter 7, verse 43. It says, "But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past." All right, the day of doom is upon us. The day of doom is upon the inhabitants of the world, man. All right, Jacob's trouble is here. Okay? Jacob's trouble is here. Let's go to Zephaniah. And Salakia for my voice being raspy, man. Once again, I haven't gotten any sleep. All right. So this is Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 14. It says, the great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hasteth greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly. All right. And when this man is finished talking, what he needs to, saying what he needs to say, you're going to understand the weight of what's coming, man. You're going to understand the gravity of what's coming. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why all these music artists are canceling their tours for the next 3 months. Okay, there's a reason for that. It's not one, it's not two. You know what I'm saying? Like the video showed, it's not 1 or 2 or 3. It's like 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what I'm saying? 8. All right, these are people that you've heard of, big time artists. Okay, and this is eerily reminiscent of what happened with those 1,300 CEOs. Okay, that left their posts. You know what I'm saying? Those CEOs that stepped down. All right. And those were major CEOs that you know of companies that are well known. All right. You don't just do that for no reason. Why is it that there have been 1,500 nuclear bug out bunkers that priced at $15 million? Why are they being built? Okay, $1,500 $15 million bunkers being built. Why? Why are these millionaires, these multimillionaires and billionaires suddenly running away so quickly? Why are they running away from the scene? Why are they exiting the scene at this time? You see? That's another thing. That's what you got to pay attention to, man. Why is it that all these multimillionaires are buying gold in bulk? Okay, and taking them out of vaults and having them, delivered to their own mansions. Why do you think that? All right? Why did ask these questions, man? Why did the state of Illinois just pass a bill that would effectively introduce the purge? Why did they do that? All right? Why did they do that? Why did Biden sign into office the executive order 14067? Okay, that introduces what's known as Biden bucks. Okay, why did he put into law the CHIP Act? All right, all these things happening. All right, let's continue.
And I did what I had to do to get the information that I wanted. And it got pretty nasty. I am going to report all that to you tonight. And this has to do with not only that we are teetering on the verge of actual nuclear World War III, but that we're actually on the verge of a complete national collapse. Social, political, cultural, religious, and of course economic. So many things are going so bad on so many levels, so fast, in so many places. It's seemed to me for a while now that the end is coming. But I can't tell when or which thing or things are going to be the trigger. So I went out and I got information, and I will spend most of tonight's show talking about that.
Okay. So let's get Jeremiah chapter 30. Let's get that. because it's important now. It's important that we talk about these things before the day of doom approaches, before it reaches us. We've got to speak. We've got to speak. You know what I'm saying? We got to wave our hands and we got to lift up that banner. All right? We've got to show our people. We have to warn the people. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. Let's start at verse 6. No, let's start at verse 5. Let's hit verse 5. It says, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 5, for thus saith the Lord Yahawah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Okay, there will be no peace in the times that's coming, man. You're going to see this. You're going to see this. And there are many people that I've told. There's people that I've warned, you know what I'm saying, in my personal life. Okay? Loved ones. That, hey, death is coming, man. A whole bunch of stuff is about to play out. A whole bunch of stuff is about to hit. It's about to hit the wall, man. Shit's about to hit the wall, boy. Okay? And they don't listen. They didn't want to listen. But they're going to understand. Jeremiah 30, verse 5. Again, it says, for thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay? The times that's coming is a time that's going to be unlike any other in history. Okay? So this guy interviews, he pretty much extorts information out of this this group of individuals who are high ranking in the banking and financial industries. Okay, these are individuals who he claims are in a position to be either first, second, third, or fourth, up into the fifth in line to take control of these high banking institutions and high financial institutions. Okay, so these aren't your run-of-the-mill bank tellers, your average bankers on the low level. No, these are the ones that actually go to the meetings in Davos. They actually go to the meetings in the WEF. You know what I'm saying? These people are linked in. These people are clued in. These people understand exactly what's coming. They have to, because they're going to be in positions. They would be in positions to take control. All right. So let's go and let's jump ahead, because I got a couple points, because this is a very long video and he goes into a lot. So I want to save you the time. So let's go to the 31st minute mark. Let's see that. Yeah, let's start there.
EA to inspect. The IAEA team is on their way there now. Should arrive tomorrow. And now the intel circuits, as I outlined earlier, are reporting there's going to be some sort of attack to try to kill the IAEA team, which will be blamed on Russia. And who knows, maybe NATO will use that as an excuse to intervene in the war. So, I've covered the big stories tonight, but this is far and away the biggest. This, what I'm about to report to you is, it's just astonishing. Now, I hinted at what this was going to be when I posted a story back on yesterday, the 28th of August, announcing to everyone that I was back in the New York City area, that I had to have a sort of Luca Brasi moment with a couple of banker/financial types. And tonight, right now, I'm going to tell you the what's what about economic collapse, the stock and bond markets, and World War III. All right? For a couple of years now, I've been utilizing various sources for information, intelligence, and to try to get an understanding of why things are happening the way they are and where things are heading. But some of
Salaki. Salaki, so let's continue.
these sources, especially in the banking and financial sector, have simply not been forthcoming. So I decided last week that in order to get them to be as forthcoming as I actually needed them to be, I was going to have to use methods that were not traditional. Think something like a Luca Brasi moment. Now, and I'll explain that in a second. The reason I decided that non-traditional methods needed to be used on these particular individuals is because for months now, we as a nation and much of the world have not only been teetering on the verge of actual nuclear World War III, but we're also on the verge of what appears to be complete national collapse. Social, political, cultural, religious, economic. So many things are going bad on so many levels, so fast, and in so many places. It just seems to me as though the end is coming. But I can't tell when or which thing or things will be the trigger. Now, you and I both know that there are people in the world who do actually know the answers. And I can tell you that some of those people have been long-time intelligence sources. And I have, dealt with these people on and off for years, and it bothered me that some of them were toying with me. They were giving me bits and pieces, innuendo, hints, feints, and the like. In fact, a couple of these very well-heeled people have been toying with me for a few years now, and I decided it was time to bring that toying to a stop. I wanted the real facts, and I intended to get them. But I realized maybe this has to get ugly. So last week, I made arrangements to meet personally with a few of these people, Saturday night into Sunday. All very hush-hush, all very quiet and very, very secret. Met with them one at a time in the dark of night, in places where there was no help and there was no escape. Now, most regular listeners to this radio show know that for 15 years, I worked with the FBI. My final 5 years, 2003 to 2008, with the Joint Terrorism Task Force. And most readers of my website and listeners to the show know from sworn testimony in Brooklyn Federal Court by Special Agent in Charge Amy Pickett of the FBI's New York City Division that I handled national security intelligence, terrorism, and foreign counterintelligence. Most listeners know that I had extraterritorial operating authority, which was granted to me by the Office of Intelligence at FBI headquarters in Washington, and that I was tasked to travel to other countries as part of my work. Through the years, I developed contacts in the intelligence field, some of whom I'm still in contact with to this very day. And that right there is how I get information that other media cannot get. That is how I often, not always, but often get stories from my website hours or even days before other media outlets get those stories. my contacts in the intelligence community, people I used to work with, afford me lots of information. And from time to time, if I really need it, and that's not often at all, these contacts afford me the ability to get the dirt on people. So last week, I had been thinking about this for weeks, and last week I decided it was time. Now, I know and have known for quite a while, there are several individuals in the banking and financial sector who are so inextricably intertwined in matters of global finance that they actually do know what the real deal is. Now, no, these are not titans of industry or the so-called masters of the universe. The people I'm talking about are the lesser people within the command structures.
Okay, so what he's talking about when he mentions masters of the universe, as you should know, he's mentioning or referring to the elites of the banking industry, the elites of the financial sectors, all right? The ones that pull the strings, okay? And so these people that he's targeting are the ones that are in these intricate circles. All right.
Of banking and finance. Some of these people are, second, third, fourth, or even fifth in line to the masters of the universe, because they are the ones who have to actually implement what the masters of the universe decided, right? So these second, third, fourth, and fifth in line, they get the info and the big picture. Well, everybody below them merely gets told, do this or do that. No big picture, no explanation, do what you're told. So these second, third, fourth, or even fifth in line can answer many of these questions, that are like serious as a heart attack, as to why things are falling apart and where it's all heading. So last week I picked my targets, if you will. I got the dirt on them, and I arranged the meetings. How many of you remember the movie The Godfather? Right, it opens at a wedding party for actor Marlon Brando was the Godfather. His daughter Connie was actress Talia Shire. Well, Connie's brother Michael, who was actor Al Pacino, in that movie at that wedding, explained to his girlfriend Kay, who was actress Diane Keaton, why singer Johnny Fontaine was so beholden to the Corleone family that he would come sing at Connie's wedding party, right? Michael explained to his girlfriend Kay that his father, Marlon Brando, went to see a big band leader because Johnny Fontaine is, his godson. And he went to see this big band leader. I'm going to get rid of this break because I don't have time for this. He went to see this big band leader to release Fontaine from a personal service contract. Offered the big band leader $10,000 to let Johnny go, but the band leader said no. So the next day, the Godfather, Marlon Brando, went back. Only this time, he brought Luca Brasi. And within an hour, the big band leader released Johnny Fontaine from the personal service contract. And Kay asked Michael, Al Pacino, why? Why'd he do that? And Michael says, Luca Brasi held a gun to his head, and my father assured him that either his brains or his signature would be on that contract. Well, the movie scene talks about holding a gun to someone's head, but folks, nowadays, information about someone, their activities, their proclivities, can really be the equivalent of a gun. Holding information over someone's head, like if they're a whoremonger while the wife and kids are safe at home, or if they're a closet flaming queen homo, who is now HIV positive, while they portray themselves to the world as a straight-laced tough guy. Or if they're a major drug addict who's managing other people's money, a lot of which disappears. Information can be a very motivating way to get certain people to cooperate. And information can sometimes be worse than a gun, because certain people know that if their activities, their habits, their proclivities were to come out, it would cost them their marriages, their family, their careers, their life savings, or worse. Well, that's the info I got on these particular banking and financial people. And that's the info that I held over their head to get what I needed. Now, after a couple meetings, I'm pretty sure I got the information I was looking for. It had the ring of truth. And I'm now going to tell you what they told me is coming. You're either going to believe me or you won't, but ultimately I'd like to think this info would survive the test of time.
Okay, so a ring of truth is simply another way of saying that he cross-examined all of those that he interviewed or coerced individually. All right, and that's what an investigator does. Okay, someone who's an investigative journalist, they cross-reference and they cross-examine, right, to make sure that there's a ring of truth there. That if these things, that if one person says what another person's saying and another person's saying individually away from each other or separate from each other, you know what I'm saying? And in this situation, in this instance, there are these individuals who are a part of three separate major financial institutions, and they're all saying the same thing. Okay, so this is a corroboration. All right, that's what that means.
As a true warning of the future that's going to unfold. Some of this stuff may seem crazy, but, you know, at least I tried. Nowadays, I'm just a nobody, you know. I've been on this solo watchtower for a long time. I've managed to utilize a few contacts and friends along the way. And now I'm going to explain to you what they have explained to me.
Okay, so let's skip forward, because he's going to explain a lot. He's going to basically explain how the inflation comes apart, how the stock markets are actually affected here in the country of America, right, in Babylon the Great, because when we see the stock prices in the stock market, right, and we see the numbers just continue to climb up as if it's doing good, but we know as citizens of Babylon the Great, we can see down here on the streets, we can see from one corner to the next corner, we can see what? We can see homelessness, we can see people who have lost their jobs, so on and so forth, right? Yet the stock market is still rising up. It's still going up, right? The reason why the stock markets and all the markets on Wall Street are still continuing to rise is because this money is not local or domestic money. This is foreign money. Okay, so foreign investors are entered into the stock markets. You see? That's why we can see the stock markets increasingly doing good while the American people are doing terribly. Okay? To the international or foreign stock market investors, they're not concerned with the average American. All right? They're not concerned with that. They're concerned with how the market price can fluctuate one way or the other and make them money. You see? So how does that play in to what these bankers are about to tell, or what these financial institution insiders are about to tell him? Well, what happens is What's about to take place is going to affect the mindset of all these foreign investors. Okay? So let's go forward. Let's go to start here.
Consumer would pay down debts, which destroys dollars, brings deflation, right? But today, the government holds the vast majority of debt, not the consumer. So the Fed raising rates, that will do nothing to stop the government from spending. They will simply continue to borrow no matter what the rate is. It could be 20%, and the government is not going to stop spending. And this is why raising rates to deflate asset prices won't work anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. The Fed partially did their job. They got the USDX up to 108. They got the 10-year yields over 3%. But what they didn't anticipate was that the new Biden regime would collapse global energy markets for political reasons. The combination of the Biden administration destroying our energy markets with, by the way, zero alternatives, combined with the fact that it's the government that holds the most debt now, not the consumer, that created a situation where the rising rates make zero difference to inflation and actually make it worse.
Okay. All right. So, and what I mentioned earlier was that the dollar, this fiat currency is based off of the perception of it. It's based off of the faith that it is valuable. You see? And so that's why all these foreign investors flock to the U.S. stock markets, because they believe in the U.S. dollar. And what does that mean? They believe in America. You see what I'm saying? So let me get Isaiah chapter 47, verse 1. Let me read this. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit in the ground. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." All right. Let's jump down to verse 5. It says, "Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness." All right. And that darkness is talking about confusion, man, and a whole bunch of confusion. All these people are going to be confused when this thing plays out. What these jokers are about to tell this man, what these jokers told this man, and he's about to relay to us, is going to cause absolute confusion, and it's going to happen quickly. All right, sit thou in silence and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Okay, so all these people and all these foreign investors and whatnot who once saw America as a great superpower and a great beacon of strength and whatnot. All right, this place will no longer be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Okay, so let's continue.
And that is why everybody in banking and stocks and bonds is starting to panic. The Federal Reserve has fired all its bullets, and we are still experiencing hyperinflation. The Keynesian economic model told them that this was not possible. They literally cannot comprehend what is happening. The dollar is rising, the rates are rising, the market is rising, real estate is rising, energy is rising, food is rising. All of it is hyperinflating outside of their control. And raising rates isn't going to stop it. And so I found out from the guys I had to deal harshly with this weekend, they have no idea what to do but keep raising rates in the hopes that it might stop the inflation. And the guys I had to deal with harshly this weekend told me it won't. You see, they explained that the energy issue is totally separate from the financial issues. The Fed cannot control what the government does to oil, gas, and diesel, right? The collapse of our energy market is what's currently driving the hyperinflation here and around the world. But ask yourself, what happens once they have to reverse course and kill the dollar's value again? Imagine if the USDX goes back to 72. At the same time, there's a shortage of energy on top of that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you get to $10 to $15 a gallon gasoline. The realization is only now dawning on these financial and banking people that they can't simply pop the bubble with rising rates. It won't work. And they'll keep trying because they have zero cards left to play. But it will make no difference in the end. And this right here, this is the financial hurricane that Jamie Dimon, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, etc. have been warning us about. It's not going to be a crash. It's going to be a hyperinflationary collapse. They're going to price you and me out of existing as a way to control us and control our lives. What they've done to us the past 14 years is only going to accelerate. It's going to get a lot worse. Now, what makes this time different? Russia and China and the BRICS nations that are allied with them, they have noticed what's going on here and they aren't happy. You see, they are the actual producers in this game. And they aren't going to take this crap anymore. And then, of course, you've got the World Economic Forum is hell-bent on destroying the energy markets of Russia and China, and the BRICS refuse to accept that too. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, the BRICS nations recognize the game is over. And what they've done is they have moved on to the inevitable conclusion of the game. War. The Russians made their move on Ukraine. And right now, as you're listening to me, the Chinese are gearing up for an invasion of Taiwan and much of the South China Sea, maybe even more. You may have noticed there's news reports about major lockdowns in China. Well, these lockdowns are about converting their economy into a war machine without the general public noticing.
And with that, let's get Joel. Let's jump to Joel. All right. Joel chapter 3. Y'all paying attention, man, because this guy, listen, man, this is some serious shit. Joel chapter 3. Let's start this off with verse 9. Joel chapter 3, verse 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. All right. This thing about to pop off. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 6. It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. You see, when all this happens, right? And he's about to get into it, man. He's about to get into it. When this thing is announced, all these foreign investors that I mentioned, they're going to do what the scriptures say they're going to do. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. All right? Okay? And so for us, the Israelites, man, we're supposed to get out of this place in our minds, in our hearts, you know what I'm saying? Separate from this place. All right? Separate from this place. Be ye separate. You see what I'm saying? But all these other nations are about to go back. They're about to go back to their own countries. They're about to leave America alone because it's going to go down, man. It's going to go down. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. All right?
And a few weeks ago, there was a leaked 60 Minutes China Communist Party meeting that confirms this. They're converting China's economy to a war economy. The Russians and the Chinese realize the financial game is over, and they are preparing for the next phase. Russia went in first, but they did that so that America and Europe would bog themselves down on one front, and then the second front gets opened by China this fall, this autumn. Out of the several guys I had to talk harshly with this weekend, all three of them, and these are high level banking and finance and stock people, they all said World War III is here, and it will officially start this fall. They said that the West's financial problems have grown too great. There's absolutely no way they can get themselves out of this mess now. Meanwhile, Russia and China see a window of opportunity to become the world's leading superpowers as the United States and Europe crumble economically and won't be able to provide their populations sufficient energy going forward. The real crisis the United States, Europe, and Canada, and Japan now face is 15 years of 0% or even negative yield rates has bankrupted the national pension funds.
Okay, so let me get this. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 14, it says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bows, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. Okay, and he mentioned Japan, all these other allies that America has. They're about to jump ship, man, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to make a choice. Okay, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to make a choice. And would you put that bet on America? Would you put that stock in on America? You know what I'm saying? With as treacherous as this place has been, you know what I'm saying? As cutthroat as this place has been, as much as this place has stolen, right? Has beaten, has destroyed, all these nations are going to realize, you know what? It's not worth me getting a nuke for the sake of this place, for the sake of America.
These countries, U.S., Europe, Canada, Japan, required by law that these pension funds be heavily overweight in bonds. And the lack of yield destroyed the pension funds. Folks, this is simple math. How can you beat inflation when 50% of your pension fund is invested in a debt note yielding 1% for 15 years? Now, the West faces the music now. The West is going to have to explain to all their citizens that all those promises of, a pension plan socialism, right, were false. Okay. Except that the leaders in the West, the governments.
Actually, I just thought about something because that's another thing to ask yourself. Why did all these members of parliament step down from office? Right? The entire British Parliament, why did they step down from office? And then all of a sudden, the Queen just croaks. Okay, what's going on? All right, what's going on, man? Shit's about to get real.
Governments will never bring themselves to do that. So the only alternative they have in the West, the government, those promises of, a pension plan socialism, right, were false. Except that the leaders in the West, the governments, will never bring themselves to do that. So the only alternative they have is war. And war, it will be. And that is why absolutely no one in the American government is interested in peace in Ukraine or anywhere else. They need war. What we have here, the big picture, is financial mismanagement for like the last, 51 years. And it will be blamed on the war, not the political class or the central banks like it should be. The political class and the central banks will do everything in their power to convince you the Chinese and the Russians are the reason you're broke. Hell, they're already attempting to do this with the Russians over food and gas. And these guys told me over the weekend, under duress, it's complete BS. The Western political class, our elected officials, are the reason all of us are going to end up broke. Russians and Chinese have nothing to do with it. Don't forget this, because the propaganda is about to go into World War III overdrive.
And that's another thing, because not only are they going to propagate against Russia and China, but they're also going to propagate against the prophets. Okay, they're going to have a whole propaganda campaign to smear the prophets. All right, the ones that's been out here telling the truth, the ones that's been out here sounding the alarm. Okay, that's why they're talking about. That's why they're talking about full-blown warfare against so-called conspiracy theorists. You see?
Now, recognizing that the West needs this war to reset itself, Russia took the first step, and now China is preparing to take theirs. So what's the holdup, right? What's the holdup? Well, Russia and China know that the greatest strength they have at the moment is their energy sectors.
Listen to this.
They do not want to escalate this situation until the weather starts to turn cold again.
Hear that?
Now, these guys that I had to, basically coerce over the weekend told me that the political and military class is well aware that World War III is coming this fall.
And what does that say, man? What does that say? What was Biden sitting here telling these people, these dumb niggas who was going to vote for him, man? What was he telling everybody? That there was a dark winter coming. What did he say? He said that there was a dark winter coming. You see what I'm saying? All right? It's about to get busy, man. It's about to get busy out here in these streets. Okay?
But they don't want to start a panic because they know the war will create a never-before-seen hyperinflation that will make the last year look like a picnic. They know that people would panic hoard of food and supplies to an even worse degree than they already are. And all it takes is the people finding out the truth, which is what you're getting right now. And they also laughed that this is why the gun issue is now front and center. The political class know what's coming. They know it will be uncontrollable, and they think that the less guns people have, the better off the political class and the banking class will be.
Okay. And I just saw a video from Dabu 7. He was reporting on that. All right. That they're about to put the squeeze on all these guns, man. All right. So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 15. 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Let's see, verse 5. It says, Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Okay? Let's jump down. Jump down to verse 15. It says, For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right? For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
And now here's the worst part. The men I dealt with this weekend, harshly, they told me in September it will be known World War III has officially started. And once the realization has been made by the masses that World War III has actually started, that's when the financial bubble is going to finally pop. Selling will be as intense, if not more so, than it was back in March of 2020. They told me we're going to see 2,000 to 3,000 point down days in the Dow stock market. They said the market is going to crater, housing will crash, rates will spike, the USDX is going to leap up toward 120. The Dow, they said, is going to crater down to 18 to 21,000, but housing will crash roughly 25%, and commodities will get crushed. Three different men from different companies in different aspects of banking, finance, stocks, and bonds told me they expect this massive collapse in 3 to 4 weeks.
This is Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 15. It says, that day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Neither shall their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land.
They said the second we cross over into fall, which incidentally would be September 22nd, they say that the Chinese are going to make their move, and it'll be obvious to everyone that World War III is on. In the face of this asset collapse next month, and the realization that World War III has started, they say that the Fed will be forced to do the only thing it can with the intense dollar strength and the higher yields, that World War III will bring the Fed to reverse course again. And the dollars created will be in an even larger amount than ever before. Yields will be driven lower again. But what makes it worse this time is the gas and diesel is going to be needed for the war. It's not going to be like March of 2020, where the collapse hit energy and saved people with lower prices. The hyperinflation at that point will be driven by both the shortages in energy and a falling dollar value due to the restart of quantitative easing and stimulus. This is how we get to never before seen levels of price, far worse than what we see today. Oh, and they said gas and diesel fuel will be rationed. They also told me, and this was a real eye-opener, most food items will be rationed. They said, we will live again as our grandparents and our parents did during World War II. And our government is going to use the chaos of this situation to advance their Great Reset agenda. They told me that we should suspect that the government will justify more lockdowns, maybe from monkeypox, maybe from something else, and a mail-in only election with some sort of, political false flag relating to the beginning of World War III. The lockdowns is what the government wants, because the benefit to the political class is it forces mail-in voting, it deters folks from using gas and diesel. By keeping people locked up and segregated, they're less likely to organize, and it'll make the rationing and delivering easier to pull off. Then they talked about the midterm elections. They said whatever happens in the midterms will happen. And half the country is going to believe the other half cheated, creating further angst among the general population.
And let's get that. Let's get that. First, we're going to finish off with 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 17. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Okay, so that's talking about these lockdowns, man. It's talking about martial law. Okay, and then he was talking about rationing. Well, what's going to be rationed? He just told you. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. It's going to be no bread. There's going to be no food out here. No food. All right? So the people are going to go at each other's throats. 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 24. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all these, let's get that. Let's hold that for the next precept. I don't want to jump ahead.
But while the general population is fighting amongst itself, the Fed will basically rip up the dollar and lower rates again for the war. The Dow, by 2024, will eventually close in on $40,000 to $50,000. The average single-family home will reach $600,000 to $700,000, and a gallon of gas will go well over $10 if you can even find any to buy. These guys told me that they suspect they'll see these price levels before the next presidential election. And the one guy, arrogant son of a bitch, he said, this is the mother of all setups. But the collapse that we're about to witness this fall will also represent one of the greatest buying opportunities in history. Just like the spring of 2020, the opportunity is going to be a very small window, 3 to 4 months. The Chinese and the Russians, they're going to advance while we have a shortage of energy, food, and a winter that we may or may not stay heated for. Not to mention the general angst and division between the left and the right that we get from the midterm elections. All of this plays into their hands. The bears, well, as always, they'll be telling us the end is here. And in some respects, they'll be correct. Because the world will never be the same. But in the end, the exact same thing that happened over the last 14 years will happen over the next 10. We will experience the same hyperinflation all over again. And if you believe the bears, you'll just keep getting poorer like you have for the last 14 years. The foreign capital, which will now be dealing with a world war on their doorsteps in Europe, they are going to flee into the dollar, into American real estate, into American stocks, where dividend yields will represent the new guaranteed rate of return. There will be less and less buyers of bonds because the realization is going to hit that the war will eventually wipe out the bond market. Governments are going to need debt forgiveness. They're not going to be able to pay government bonds.
And you all know about that debt clock, right? All right, but what did he just say? He just said nobody's going to want to buy the bonds. All right? And also nobody's going to want to make any stock. They're not going to want to place any stock in America anymore. You see? All right, so that all plays into it.
The dollar, it'll rise, rates will rise, the market will rise, real estate will rise, commodities will rise, crypto will rise, all of it will go up, and absolutely no one will believe how this is happening. But there's a caveat. We are going to watch as our markets whipsaw from a massive dump this fall into a hyperinflationary spike as the war proceeds. And that war, they say, is going to last from 2023 to 2032.
Yeah.
Now,
and we know that's not going to happen, right? This place is not going to be here to no 2032, man.
several of the guys I had to deal harshly with this weekend told me, look, you got to understand this. Nobody has any idea how all this is going to end up at its conclusion. Not Klaus Schwab, not Joe Biden, not Donald Trump. No one can control this level of madness. They said it's quite possible that a violent revolution breaks out in America before we even get into the World War III. They said it's possible that the government is successful in using the war to implement the Great Reset. So how the future unfolds after the war and hyperinflation get going is really anyone's guess, but the name of the game is simple. Own private assets. They said American stocks will be a great buy after the fall crash because the dividend yield will become the new guaranteed rate of return that bonds used to be. Housing will continue to skyrocket because of the collapse in energy and the large swaths of foreign capital looking to park itself here in America. We, me and you, we will experience rationing in all essential commodities. And they said that what technology companies were to the 2010s, food and agriculture will be to the 2020s. That's where all the money's going to get made, food and agriculture. They said at the end of the day, you want exposure to American stocks, American real estate, and commodities like gold and silver. You want all the private assets because what the world looks like on the other side of this war is anyone's guess. But at least you will own something real. And however the new monetary system and bond markets are hammered out in the end, your real private assets will maintain relative value to everything else. This is why BlackRock and the big boys won't stop buying. They all damn well know what's going on here. Two of the guys that I dealt with harshly told me they believe half the world's population will not be here in 10 years. They said starvation, pandemics caused via malnutrition or World War III or bioweapons like the vaccine deaths, energy collapse, who knows, maybe even climate change, hot or cold, take your pick, or maybe a combination of all of them. But the people at the top believe that at least half of us will not make it.
Okay, so let me get this here. Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 25, it says, whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. All right. You know, it says that there's going to be that people going to be walking around hoping to find somebody, anybody. You know what I mean? Anybody. Like it's just going to be emptied out in these streets, man. All right, let me get another precept here. Here we go. Let's hit 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 26. It says, "The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men, so that one man shall desire to see another, and to hear his voice. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 in the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and clefts of the rocks." All right, people are going to be hiding. Okay, nobody's going to be out here in the streets anymore, man. You make yourself a target. You see, it's going to get that terrible out here, man. That terrible. Let's get... You know, let's get this. 2nd Ezra chapter 14. 2nd Ezra chapter 14, verse 13, it says, "Now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them that as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Let go from thee mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of men. Put off now the weak nature." All right? You got to get out of your mind the pity. You got to get that out of your mind, like the beloved elder Amon Gabar. You know what I'm saying? He was going into it yesterday. Don't feel pity for these people. Don't feel sorry for them. Do not feel sorry. Okay? Do not feel. All right? I know that's hard to take in for a lot of people. That's hard for a lot of people to take in, man. It was hard for me at first when I first heard it. But the more I carried on in this truth, and the more I understood, and the more I went out and prophesied, the more I understood this, and the more I grasped it of what the scriptures is telling you. Pray thou not for this people. You see? Don't feel pity for them, man. Don't feel pity because for all those people who walk past the camps and act like you don't even exist, while you out here trying to bring the warning out. The warning is out on these street corners, you know what I'm saying, beginning with our elders, our apostles, you know what I'm saying, and the brethren on down. All right, and they just did not care. Listen, man, the judgment is coming. The judgment is coming. Everyone had a chance. Everyone has heard this truth in one form or another. All right? Let go from the mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of men. Put off now the weak nature. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee. Okay? Set it aside, man. Set it aside. What's the most heaviest in your mind? What's going to happen to my wife? What's going to happen to my kids? What's going to happen to my best friend, to my brother, to my sister? What's going to happen to my loved ones? Put it aside. Put it aside. Because at the end of the day, if they were not chosen, they were not chosen. The Lord's going to be with who he's going to be with. He will show mercy to whom he's going to show mercy. Okay, and it's not to him that willeth or to him that runneth. It's to the Most High who showeth mercy. You see what I'm saying? It's Revelation, that's Romans, the 9th chapter. Okay? I believe starting at the verse, at 14th verse. As a matter of fact, let me just get it since I'm mentioning it. All right? Because these is deadly times, man. And we're going to have to put all that aside. Because you ain't going to have time to mourn. You ain't going to have time to mourn, man. This is Romans chapter 9, verse 14. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with Most High? God forbid. For he saith unto Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of the Most High that showeth mercy. You see, it's up to the Most High, man. It's not up to us. Okay? These jokers are saying straight up, listen, I ain't gonna bullshit you now, man. You got me on the ropes with this information. You know what I'm saying? I can't wiggle my way out of this one. I'm just gonna have to tell you what it is. Straight up. We don't believe that half of y'all is gonna make it. Okay? There's billions of people on the planet, man. All right? How many people in America? Okay, what, about 300 million? They saying half of y'all got a 50-50 chance. All y'all got a 50-50 chance. And listen, we doubt that half of y'all gonna make it out of this. You know, that's how bad it's gonna get, man. You gotta understand the weight, the gravity of this. The gravity. All right. Second Ezra 15 and 49. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence to waste thy houses with destruction and death, man. These people ain't ready. These people ain't ready, man. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. They got what's coming. Second Ezra chapter 9, verse 9. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law, while they yet had liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. The same must know it after death by pain. This is what's ready for them, man. They had their chance, man. They had their chance. Second Ezra chapter 8, verse 56. Second Ezra chapter 8, verse 56. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. So fuck them. Simple as that, man. To hell with these 2/3. The Most High is gonna have it. He's gonna have his way. That's it. I got one more thing that he's about to say before I close out. Let's listen in.
The name of the game is to make it to the other side alive with some form of wealth in hand. Because the biggest, most powerful governments on earth, the biggest, most powerful bankers, stockbrokers, bond market people, he said they are flipping the table over and they don't care how much it hurts you or me. Those people, those uber wealthy, those very powerful masters of the universe, they are incapable of admitting what they've done to the monetary system and the pension funds because they fear the general public would revolt and kill them for what they've done. So they have no choice left but to flip the table over and start World War III. Now, people who take a chance and buy this fall when everything collapses would make an immense amount of money as the hyperinflation takes hold in the coming years, if you survive. Just remember, the higher the prices go, the worse the civil unrest in America becomes, because the larger the wealth gap will get. And believe them, they said, the wealth gap will get far, far worse before it gets better. One guy chuckled. He said, "Buckle up, Hal, this fall, because when the realization hits that we're already in World War III, This baby's going to hit 88 miles an hour, just like that DeLorean in the Back to the Future. And he said, I give myself and all of you only a 50% chance of surviving what's coming. I will wrap it up. You know, it goes without saying that if you're still in a city, you need to leave. Find a way to work from home, but sell your real estate now and go rural. Get out of the population centers while you still can, because the cities are going to be ground zero for all the horrors.
Let me repeat what he just said. The cities are going to become ground zero for all of the horrors that you're about to see. The cities are going to become ground zero for all of the horrors that you are about to see. There will be no more strong and independent women in the days that's coming. That will not be here anymore. Your average tough guy, he's going to be put to the test. We'll see how tough you are, man. You see, because the Lord is going to protect his people. The Lord's going to protect his prophets, his servants. He's going to protect them. And in so doing, the elect women and children are going to be protected by those men. You see? That's why the scriptures are saying that he shall make a man more precious than fine gold. It's going to be something absolutely devastating to get all these females to drop that pride, to drop that entitlement, that entitlement. Okay? To drop that attitude and get back in line. It's going to take something absolutely devastating for that to happen. And now you understand why they put into place Executive Order 14067. Now you understand why all these celebrities are canceling their tours for these 3 months of September, October, and November. Now you understand why Illinois just passed that bill to not prosecute these people for doing crimes anymore. Any crime. You see what I'm saying? And put them in prison. Now you see why. Okay? Order out of chaos. And we're about to see the chaos. And then they're going to implement their order. Second Ezra chapter 14, verse 16. Let's start at verse 15. It says, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 40. He said, get out of these cities. And we're going to have to be on the move. We're going to have to be on the move, man. The Most High is going to have to guide our footsteps. All right? And that's what you need to be praying in these times before the death comes, before the destruction hits. Pray that the Most High guides your footsteps and protects you in these times of trouble, man. Protects you and your family. Bahashem Yahawashi. Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 40. O my people, hear my word. Make ye ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose, and he that occupieth merchandise as he that hath no profit by it. and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth as if he shall not reap, so also he that planteth the vineyard, as he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry, as they that shall get no children, and they that marry not, as the widowers. You see? It's going to be a whole lot of death and hell out here, man. A whole lot of death and hell. You see? Let's finish this out.
What else you can do? Food. 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 You need food. You need to buy food now with a long shelf life. I've spent the last, year, 2 years, passively buying 10 and 20 pound bags of rice every time I go to the store. And I made it a point not to eat any of it. You need food with a long shelf life. And if you stack frozen goods, you make sure you got the energy to keep the freezer on. You need guns and ammo. And the argument for them is simple. It's better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them.
Yeah, but the Lord's going to take care of his people, man. The Lord is going to take care of his people, and he's going to show his hand through signs and miracles. All right? So we ain't got to worry about that, man. The Lord is with you. The Lord is with you. Stand with your faith. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? If you want, you know what I'm saying, it wouldn't be bad. It would be wise to go and grab yourself some rice. It would be wise. Go grab yourself some rice, some canned food, you know what I'm saying, that lasts very long. You know what I'm saying? These things can last. Okay? And just put them away for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's never hurts to have more. All right? But don't put your faith in that. Understand that we're going to have to stand on our faith at the end of the day. And our faith has to be rooted in the Most High and his son, Yahawashi. You see what I'm saying? The Most High Yahweh and his son, Yahawashi.
One of these guys told me, forget gold, stack silver. I said, why? He said, they're going to make it illegal to own gold again. And they said, even if they don't, it's worthless in small transactions. He said, if you got some gold, keep it. But future purchases should be silver only.
Okay. So I got a good amount. I got a decent amount of silver. You know what I'm saying? A decent amount of silver. You can go ahead. You can grab yourself a couple bars. You know what I'm saying? A couple bars of silver. You know, I believe they're running for like close to $40 of an ounce of bar. You know, silver ounce. Okay. If you want gold, you know what I'm saying, you can grab like the ones that's close to $60, $70, you know, like 1 gram of gold if you want, right? But your best bet, like the dude said, would be silver. That's if you want to go down that route. Okay? Like I said, I have some silver, you know what I'm saying? A couple bars. So, you know, it never hurts. All right?
In the midst of this hyperinflation, he also said they're going to offer a central bank digital currency as a solution. He said, run away from it.
That's the point. And that's the point. Okay, that's the point. That is the end goal. Okay, that's the solution. That's the solution. That's the order that's coming out of this chaos. Okay? That's the order that's coming out of this chaos. And right now we've got IUIC that's still acting a fucking fool. We still got IUIC that's still acting a fool out here. And they're going to be dealt with. They're going to get dealt with. They're going to get dealt with when this storm hits. They're going to get dealt with, man. They're going to get dealt with. When everybody sees these chips, when everybody sees the MOTB and the C-HIP, you know what I'm saying? When everybody sees the Charagma, it's going to be a whole different ball game, baby. It's going to be a whole new ball game. All right. And all these jokers that's been speaking against it, you know what I'm saying, that's been mocking the prophets, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna have to eat them words. And for every idle word, they're gonna have to take account. You see what I'm saying? IUIC, HOI, ISUPK, BOW, all these niggas out here that's been saying this dumb shit. It's over. It's over. It's over. In the midst of this chaos, they are going to see the solution right before their very eyes, and their congregations is going to collapse. All those Israelites that followed them, all them dumb niggas that followed them. Okay, if the Most High don't bring them out of that foolishness, they taking it. They taking it, and they're gonna ask their leaders questions, and majority of them won't be there. Nate's not gonna be there. Bishop Nate ain't gonna be there to answer your questions. Bishop Canaan ain't gonna be there to answer your questions. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna be looking for the captains, and the captains ain't gonna know what to do. They ain't gonna know what to say. All right, and everything's gonna collapse. All right. So let's get Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the charagma, or the name of this beast, or the number of his name." All right. Simple as that, man. Simple as that. There's no more running away from this. There's no more running away from it. You're gonna have to face this thing head on. All of you who've been talking this mess. All right. You gotta have Apostle Tahar deal with this. You gotta have Elder Yashawamba. You gotta have Elder Karatazar. All these brothers, you know what I'm saying? Elder Manatazakbar. All of them have to deal with this mess. We too late in the game for this. We are too late in the game for this, man. It is time to get ready. And y'all still playing around. Y'all still think this is a game, man. Let's go.
Because that will allow them to control every aspect of your whole life. They can deactivate your digital currency while everybody else's works. Now, he also said it may end up that we have no choice in using digital currency. But once all the money is put into the grid, digital, silver is going to be the new underground currency. Once the central bank digital currencies go live, that's when the metals will finally have their day. And then a couple of the other guys said, and about the World Economic Forum, anything they push back. They said this is the organization, the one organization pulling the strings on this entire nightmare. And these people are the enemy of humanity. These guys told me whatever we can do to break free of these tyrants at the World Economic Forum, we must at least try. He said the Western governments are totally and completely controlled by the World Economic Forum, and the governments have decided to listen to them because their solutions mean more power for the political class.
Okay. So he's pretty much finishing it up. All right. So I'm going to cut that there, man. This lesson has been long. It's been very long. But I had to hit these points, man. And I pray this lesson has been edifying. You know, don't let it fall on deaf ears, man, because we are at the door. We are at the door. It is nigh even at the door, man. Okay? Let me give one more precept. Let me get this real quick. We done with the video, so I'll just look it up real quick. Bear with me. All right, so we ending it off in Mark, the 13th chapter, 29th verse, and it says, "So ye in like manner, when ye shall see these things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the doors." Okay? We're entering into these times, man. These times is going to be the end, the end of this rulership. Okay? This is how the Most High is placed it in Esau's mind to end this off. All right? You know? The heart of the king is in the Most High's hand, and he turns it whithersoever he will, man. Okay? So this is it. This is it. It's time to buckle down, man. It's time to get ready. You know, all hell's about to break loose. You know, the Most High is the Most High is not gonna. He's not gonna have his prophets out here much longer. Okay, our job is done. Our job is just about done. Okay, so I want to cut that there, man. Once again, I pray this lesson has been edifying. I want us to call Haloyim La, Yahawah Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem HaRICANS. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of great millstone, of whom I've grown in this truth under. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.